Hello and welcome to the Animal Science 3305 Library Lab. My name is Megan Coker and I am the librarian for Animal Science. My office is in McGraw Library usually, although this semester you can reach me just by email or appointment. So my links for both of those are on here. And today what we're going to go over is specifically for your assignment, the steps in getting ready to search through citing your sources. So I'm going to give you some tips and tricks to make that search go hopefully easier for you and be as painless as possible. And our first step is sort of getting ready to search. And I know I don't always like to do this beforehand, but it's always a good idea to stop and take your topic and break it down into parts and think through the components, synonyms, related concepts before you go in and start searching. So what I have here on this slide is an example of a mind map on effects of alcohol on fetal development. So I've broken out sort of the concepts involved here. We have alcohol, we have the effects, we have the fetal development, and then for each of those components there are subcomponents. So if I'm talking about alcohol, maybe I want to look at specific types of alcohol or alcoholism. If I'm talking about effects, are there specific effects? Am I looking specifically at fetal alcohol syndrome? If I'm talking about fetal development, are there specific components of it that I want to look at? Maybe just like brain development, or do I want to look at development during specific trimesters? Things like that. And what that will enable you to do is when you go looking for articles in a database, you'll be able to narrow or broaden your search depending on what you get in there. Sometimes you get a whole bunch of results and you want to take one of these more specific topics. Sometimes you get very few and you're going to have to zoom out and use one of the broader topics or things. So this gives you a handy little tool in your back pocket that when you run into those problems when you're searching for articles, you have more terms to go to right away. The next step is we need to know what we're looking for, and in this case that's peer-reviewed articles. If you need a little refresher on it, I will take you through the peer review process so you know why it is that you're looking for these and what they are. A peer-reviewed article means that when a researcher has done some work, in this case we have Marie Curie, let's say she's submitted a paper to the Journal of Food Science, and they don't just publish anything that gets sent to them. They might look at it and say, well, this seems like something that would be interesting to our readers. And if that is the case, they will send that along to usually about 3 reviewers. And these reviewers are people who are experts in that field of research. They don't know who wrote it usually, but they look at this article and determine, was it done well or not? Are there questions that are unanswered? Things like that. And usually they have some back and forth with the author, and there's some editing that goes on there, and they make suggestions, and she improves the papers based on that. And once that is finally done, then the journal takes it and publishes it in an issue of their journal, and that's what we buy at the library so that you can access it either online or in print, usually online. And then where do you find all that stuff that we have procured for you? That's where our library databases come in, and there are a whole lot of them. So the library website, which on here is the bubble labeled BinCat Discovery, that combines a whole bunch of our article databases. It also includes books and DVDs and anything you can find in our libraries and our ebooks, a whole bunch of stuff in there. And then we have some more subject-specific databases like, say, PubMed or Agricola. Cab Abstracts is one that we'll look at for this class. And those are sort of, I think of them as sort of smaller buckets of articles. So PubMed is only medical-related articles. And you might say, why don't I just want everything? Sometimes everything is too much and there's too much noise in your search, and it can be nicer to use one of those smaller databases because you get more relevant papers faster. My oversimplified rule for this course is that, if you're looking for something on a topic that has to do with animals, I use the database Cab Abstracts. If you're looking for something that has to do with human health and reproduction, I look in PubMed. And generally, those will be safe bets for you on finding things quickly and easily. To get to those databases, I've made a LibGuide for your class, and if you go in here, let me pull it up on here, I have some resources for you. So at the top here we have finding articles, and this is where I've put the links to these databases. So as I said, we have CAB abstracts for animals, PubMed for people. I also put on Scopus, which is just a big science database, so it can be another nice place to look. And Google Scholar, because I know people use it, and it does have a specific purpose I want to highlight later in this presentation. So I want to start by looking at PubMed. If I go into PubMed and I take my topic of alcohol and fetal development and search in here, this is a big topic that's been studied kind of for a long time, and a lot has been done on it. So there are 11,086 search results in here. If I'm doing this search, this is probably a sign to me that I'm going to have to narrow this topic down quite a bit and zoom in on a specific aspect of fetal development, zoom in on a specific subtopic within here. But another thing you can do in these databases is use the facets over here on the left to narrow things down. So the first one here is year. I might say I only want research done in the last 10 years. So I can move that little slider. And we've got, that's cut down quite a bit on what I've got there. Some other things you can narrow by are types of articles. So don't worry about, in this case, you don't need to worry about peer-reviewed articles. These are, by and large, all peer-reviewed articles that you're going to find in here. We'll talk about the difference between review and research articles later, and that's something you can filter for in here, which is nice. A review article versus like a randomized controlled trial is always going to be a research article. And then there are other filters. So I have some turned on. You might not see all of these here the first time you're in here, and where you'll have to go is to additional filters. And this is where I got my humans filter. So if you want to filter out any animal studies, you turn that on. If you are looking for animals specifically, use that as your search term. You also can do other animals, but it doesn't let you select what type of animal. You can filter by language. You can filter by sex, so if you have a male or female population that you're specifically looking at. The other really useful one is age. So the one that comes up a lot for this class is adult 19 to 44 years, because that's sort of considered reproductive years. That might be an age range you want to limit for, or there might, if you're doing a topic specifically with children or adolescents, those are all age groups you can limit by. Say if I turn that on here and click show, what it does is put this over here so that I can turn it on as a filter. So it's not automatically turned on for you, which is annoying. But if I click that box, now I'm limited to just these 244 that deal with this population of this age group. So that's a nice thing about PubMed. Another nice thing is that, I just put some words up here and it found a lot of really relevant things on my topic. And the reason is, I can show you if I go to the advanced search. If I go down here and look at my search history and look at the details, PubMed did not just search for these 3 words. It searched for all of this here. So it searched for different spellings of fetal. It searched for different words for alcohol. It searched for alcoholism. All kinds of different stuff here. It tried to, it searched for embryology, all different related concepts. It tries to automatically match you up with and put those into your search so that you get the relevant things, even if you use different terms than other people might have. If your results look weird, this can be a good place to look and see if it tried to map you to words that were not actually related to your concept. But by and large, it tends to work pretty well in here. So that's PubMed. Let's go back and take a look at CAB abstracts. This database works a little differently. in that when I'm doing a search in here, I like to think of each of my concepts as a building block. So what that means is that if I go in here, I like to work on the advanced search tab and turn on this map term to subject heading option. What that means is when I search for something, it's first going to see if there's a subject heading in here. And that means that, you know, every article that goes in here, a human person looks at it and reads it and assigns it to a list of vocabulary words that that this database uses. So let's say I'm looking at fetal development in sheep. So let's start with fetal development. I'm going to type that in here, just that one term, or that one concept. And there is a subject heading for fetal development, so I'm going to leave that box selected and click continue. And this shows me that I have 1,539 results on fetal development. Next, I'm going to look for sheep. And I still have that map term to subject heading box checked, so it's going to take me to all the subject headings that have to do with sheep. And there are a lot here because this is an agriculture database. So there are different sheep breeds. There's, you know, sheep feeders, sheep farming, all of these things to do with sheep. I'm going to stick just with the sheep heading because I don't want to go really more narrow than that on here, and I'm going to click continue. And now I have 85,678 articles on sheep. What I want are the ones that have both of these. So what I'm going to do is click the boxes next to both terms, and I'm going to select combine with and. So that means I will have things that have fetal development and sheep. And now I've got 198 articles, and if I scroll down below here, that's where these articles are. If there's something that I'm interested in, I can click on the title, and you can read the abstract and see other information about it, some of these other subject headings. Sometimes that's useful to know. And then if I want to get the actual PDF of this article, I'm going to click the red Find It button, which will take me to the library. To make sure you have your pop-ups turned on for this. That's a mistake I often make. And through the library is where I can download the PDF. There's not always a download PDF link, but if there's an online access link, any of these other links here should get you to the PDF to download. So that is CAB abstracts. If that's not a comfortable way for you to search, there is the multi-field search, and you don't have to go through those subject headings fields. You could just put in here sheep on one line, and you could put fetal development on the next line and do a search like you would in any other sort of database and get a set of search results that combine those two things. So it's slightly more, but you'll find things either way. So whichever way is more comfortable for you. Again, I like to use the advanced search and the subject headings because you get a more targeted, narrow set of search results, and often I'm trying to be very specific in what I'm looking for. All right. And then just to know, up here at the top of the page is the search box for the libraries. If you search here, you're searching everything we have in the libraries, from our ebooks and print books and DVDs and all of those sorts of things. It's also searching a lot of our article databases. So you will get articles from PubMed and a bunch of other databases in there. So it can actually be a really good first place to look, just to see how much exists on a topic. But then once you actually get there, it can be a little overwhelming, and then that there's so much stuff there, which is why I like to go into the smaller discipline databases like PubMed and CAB abstracts. Go back to our presentation. So what did we find? There are usually two types of articles that you'll find in these databases, and those are research articles and review articles. Which is not to be confused with peer-reviewed articles. They're all peer-reviewed, but they're two different types of peer-reviewed articles. The research article is probably something you're very familiar with. It's where a scientist does a study of some sort and reports back on it, and there's a introduction and methods and results and conclusion sections, those sorts of things, and they're reporting about one study that they did. A review article is a review of a bunch of research articles. So that is usually an article that is synthesizing a bunch of primary research articles and trying to determine what we can tell more broadly from looking at all these studies together. So research articles considered a primary source, review articles considered a secondary source. And for this assignment, I believe you need to find one review article and a couple of research articles. I'll give you the tip that I usually like to find the review article first, and because review articles review research articles, so you can use the bibliography of the review article to find a couple of research articles that it reviewed and go look those up. So both are important for different reasons, but know the difference in what you're looking for. And I also want to point out that there are review articles like systematic reviews, meta-analyses that have a methods section, so don't let that throw you off. But in the methods section, they'll usually talk about, oh, we searched to find articles, we searched in these databases and found this many articles that we went through. So in this case, in a review article, their methods are how they found the articles that they reviewed. And then you can use what you found to find more. So I talked just now about bibliography mining, which is looking at the bibliography of a paper that you've already found that's good and seeing what else they've cited that might be also good on your topic. That's one way to sort of look back and find articles that they've built on or reviewed. Another thing you can do is sort of what I like to think of as looking forward. And that's where you can take an article, especially if you found maybe an older article and want to find some newer articles that have built on that. You can look at what has cited that article in its bibliography. And the easiest way to do that is in Google Scholar. So I mentioned I put Google Scholar on here for a reason. If we go to Google Scholar and do our alcohol and fetal development search, and or I might look up an article title if I have one that I want to look up in here, but you'll notice that there's this cited by section under each article listed here. If I click on that, this is going to show me all of the articles that have cited this one since it's been published. So that's a way of sort of looking forward from this article, what came after this and built on it. And this is another good way to find some other good things in here. So a couple ways to build on what you found. And last, I am not going to go back into the presentation. I want to go back to our LibGuide on here to talk about citing your sources. So down at the bottom of this page, I have for you a tutorial on plagiarism and how to avoid it. I do recommend going through that if you're not familiar or you have any concerns about accidental plagiarism or aren't familiar with the process or the concepts around it. I also have a tutorial on what are citations if that's new to you. I'm guessing it's not at this point. And then some tools you can use with your citations. So the first one on here is ZoteroBib, which is a tool that I just love. If we go here, if you've used EasyBib or something like that, it's very similar to that. It's just has a lot more citation styles available in it. So you'll see it wants you to enter a URL or all these things or a title. So whatever you have about the article, I'll demonstrate this using PubMed. If I go to PubMed and I find an article, we'll do our alcohol fetal development search again. And let's say we have this article here and we want to use that. So I could take the title here, or I could take the PMID, that means PubMed ID, or the DOI, that's a unique number affiliated with this article. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to copy it and paste it into ZoteroBib. and click Cite. And here is a citation for that article. It also, if you put in a bunch of them, will generate a bibliography with all of them together. So you can see those are all listed here. I could then export that or just copy and paste them all together. You'll need to set it to APA style. There are 9,700 plus styles available to you in here, so whatever style you're writing for, you can likely find it in here. And you just click on that and it will switch to whatever style you want. So there's American Medical Association, go back to American Psychological Association, and you've got your whole bibliography right there. Back on here, the other tools here, the citation management tools, those are a little bit more robust and for longer term research. So if you are planning to go to grad school or writing some really long papers, these are really nice to have. And there's information about Zotero, Mendeley, EndNote, which are the 3 tools we support that do that. And if you're interested in learning more about those, feel free to set up a meeting with me or sign up for a library workshop or go look them up. But what those do is allow you to save all of your citations over time. So you can create a folder for each paper that you work on and collect all your citations in there. And they actually have plugins for Microsoft Word where you can plug in in-text citations as you're writing and then generate a bibliography of those at the end. So they're more robust than Zotero Bib. I highly recommend using one if you're going to be writing long papers or going to grad school. And then finally, I have the APA style guide from Purdue, which is nice to look at and shows you how your citations should be formatted. And I do recommend looking at that, even if you've used Zotero Bib or a citation manager, because they make mistakes. And so you'll want to go check your bibliography and make sure that it formatted everything and got it all correct. And you can do that by comparing it to the examples in the APA style guide here. All right, that is everything. Last of all, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact me. It's mcoker@umn.edu. And I also have my appointment booker where you can schedule half-hour appointments with me. So I hope that this helps, and I look forward to working with you.